Welcome to another episode of the Mike and Matt Show with myself, Matt Weber, and my partner and co-host, Michael Strassen. This podcast is designed to help provide insight into the world of real estate investing, entrepreneurship, personal development, and business. Please subscribe, follow, and like the Mike and Matt Show on all podcast platforms. You can listen and watch the show on our YouTube channel, Alpha Funding. Be ready to level up your life and be inspired by some of the most successful investors and business professionals in the game. You'll laugh, you'll learn, you might cry. We hope you enjoy the show. Welcome back to another episode of the Mike and Matt Show. Michael, how are you, sir?
I'm fantastic, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic as well. I just want to first share with our audience, yesterday was Michael's birthday. Happy birthday, Michael.
What's yesterday?
Yesterday
I don't know when
was
they're watching
May
this.
22nd.
There we go. Yes, I'm getting old.
It was a special day.
Yeah.
It was when Michael,
I'm getting old.
It's when Michael was born. If you weren't born, we wouldn't have you here today.
It would just be the Matt podcast.
It would just be the Matt
If
show.
I wasn't born and I wasn't here today, Eric would have a seat over here.
Yes, he would.
So
we moved him out of the bathroom. we made some room for him this time. Eric.
Funny story about being in the when I first started at Alpha, my office was in the bathroom. Yeah. Literally behind my had my desk against the wall, had my chair, right? And then literally 2 feet behind my chair was the door to the bathroom.
So while he was underwriting deals, you would just hear the big flush going every couple of minutes.
1,000%. That's how. And then I graduated from the bathroom, but we always started in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, today's a special episode. Today is our first repeat guest episode. We have the fantastic duo of Eric and Nick from MB Capital. Welcome back, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Excited to be back.
So we have repeat guests. This is a first for us. So we're in season 2. To bring somebody back, this got to be a big deal.
It's kind of a big deal.
You want to know we're kind of a big deal.
We feel it.
So
You guys kind of.
I feel like it's kind of a big deal, and I don't know if you guys are as big of a deal as the thing.
I'll disagree with that. I think we're super big, and we're making this even bigger of a deal because of how big we are. So we could go back and forth.
We got a lot of big deals in this room right now.
Yeah, so last time we were here, we were talking about MB Capital, what you guys offer, a little bit about both of you, and we were talking about how to help people get into deals with little or no money. And we've seen the concept in execution, but what we have done since then is we have launched our new program called MBAlpha.
Unbelievable. How exciting is that?
It's very exciting.
It's been exciting for me, I'll be honest with you.
Same on our end.
By the way, to everybody listening or watching, if you want to know more about that, go back to season 1 and listen to our episode or watch our episode with Nick and Eric about MB to get a better understanding of how that works. Also, go to dealswithnomoney.com and you can watch a terrible infomercial with me in it, where I do my best nighttime.
Hi, I'm Michael Strassen,
ShamWow
and I'm going to show you how to get more money for your deals.
I mean, 11 minutes of it was me, so it wasn't that bad. All right, so
No,
Nick
you were the best
DiFederico.
part of the video. You were 100% the best part of the video. Whatever 11 minutes I was in, I was full ShamWow.
I like it.
I don't know if we're saying that on our end, but that's all right. Internally, Mike, you killed it.
Killed it.
Killed it.
I think you killed it.
I killed it all the way to the free shipping for only $9.99.
Well, if you buy 2 ShamWows, you get the free shipping. That's the key. You got to get that second ShamWow in.
But wait, there's more. we didn't discuss what the value, what the extra offer was, the promo.
Was that you didn't have to listen to me do the video again?
Maybe. So,
All right.
let's get into it. Nick, welcome back. Eric, welcome back. It's great to have you guys back here on the show.
Excited to be here.
Yeah.
Tell us what has happened since we last had you. I don't want to talk anymore.
Okay, I'll talk. So biggest thing that's happened since last year, which is almost a year ago that we did that first podcast, we did start this kind of relationship where we're helping each other's clients. Where, the MBAlpha program, we kind of designed it to 100% fund our deals. We've already been working with your clients for years now, getting them money so that they have the down payment money, the holding cost money. Now we just kind of formally kind of joined forces on that program to get out there and help real estate investors have access to capital to, more importantly, do more deals and not have to come out of pocket cash.
So from your end, guys, tell us, how successful has it been since we started?
Since we started MBAlpha, it's been huge. We've had, a ton of opportunity coming our way. We could speak numbers, but it's been not only a lot of people coming interested in the program, but those that we've already are out there helping, taking it to the next level, helping them get into opportunities, whether it be on fix and flips, BRRRR projects. They are utilizing both sides of the coin and really taking it to the next level and scaling their real estate.
So tell us, is it like 10 people?
Oh, no, there's over 300 people that have been
that
are part of the
people
program.
And it's only been 2 months?
Yeah, I think
2.5
it's been about
months
2
since
months.
we kind of released it to the public. And over 300 people have reached out, wanting to know more, how we can help. We're a good number of them, we've already actually gotten funding, and some of them have come back to you guys, and now that they had that capital, got the closing with the money.
Absolutely. And before we get into some of the success stories, because I want to hear a little bit more about it. Like we've already talked about in our last episode that we did together, how this works, right? How you get the money, how much you could get, what you can use it for. I want to hear the real success stories from our partnership, because I think that's what this is about. Like, it's not just about getting the money, it's just how does it actually work from both sides. And what I've actually heard from people who've already gotten money from you before MBAlpha was even just their realization that this is what they can use the money for. So a lot of people that I spoke to who had gotten money beforehand were using it just to try to buy deals themselves with their own money. Like Nick, you mentioned in our last episode that you've, through your own tactics and how to do all of this, you've generated so much business lines of credit for yourself that you were able to buy properties. And people that I've spoken to who have already done it were like, oh, that's what I'm trying to do. And then they're like, wait a second, I can take this money that I've already gotten and then I can leverage it over here. And I think that was blowing some people's minds. So people who've already signed up, finding a lot of value and understanding how our business is coming together changes for them.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we're getting them access to cash, right? And you guys need them to have some cash to get into a deal. So depending on the deal, we're going to be able to help, kind of bridge any gaps that client may have so that they don't miss out on the opportunity. Like, that's the biggest thing. We don't want clients to miss out on opportunity. Even if they're currently doing a deal, already in the middle of a deal, if something pops up, we still may be able to get you guys capital to be able to go close a second or a third deal with you guys while you're in the middle of that first one.
Mm-hmm. I was just on a webinar yesterday, and we were talking about what are some of the biggest challenges that investors are facing. And I think the unanimous feedback is money. They need more capital. And this program has been tremendous. In the last 2 months, we've had so much success already. I'm excited about what's going to happen. So that's why we're so excited to have you guys back on here today so we can discuss some of these success stories. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. We were talking maybe about a month ago, and this was a gentleman. He's on the West Coast. He's from Colorado. Guy had no money, but he had an 800 credit score. And I want you guys to remember that. He had an 800 credit score. And we'll get back to that in a second. Because of that, we got him pre-approved. I remember you had a great conversation with him.
No, I didn't actually pre-approve him.
You didn't pre-approve him?
No, because he didn't have any money.
But everything was in line except for those dollars that he needed.
100%. But I want to. What I just said is actually really important to what you're saying, right? He did not get pre-approved. He had great credit. He had actually purchased some rentals in the past. Like, he had some experience. Mm-hmm. He wanted to go through and build a bigger portfolio of rental loans, and I denied him because he had $0.
But so this is kind of like a little bit of a little cat and mouse game. So technically, he was not approved, but there was one piece missing. And what we did was we were able to put him in touch with our MBAlpha program. He is in his 50s. Wants to build a portfolio of rental properties, but he had no money, and his credit was 800. We were able to put him together with you within a day. I think within a day or 2 days, we had you on the phone with him, and he was able to get $75,000 in a business line of credit. I think you were also going to be able to get him up to $50,000 in business credit cards. Together, that's $125,000 of available working capital to take that, come to us, potentially get up to 80% of the LTV for a rental purchase if that was what he was looking to do. And if we were going to give him either the fix and flip or the BRRRR loan, which is buying it, the renovation dollars, and then eventually refinancing, we gave him the opportunity to be able to do that, which is so powerful. And now what you're saying is now he's able to get
correct. And that's important though, right? Because what you guys are giving us is that opportunity. Like before MBAlpha, that would just be a denial that went off into the ether. Yep. That would be somebody who came to us wanting to do deals, who himself wants to do deals, and just unable to access our capabilities to help them do it.
And already has a proven track record, already has a portfolio. Correct. And was stuck with the access.
They were stuck with the access. And for me, would have just been somebody that went in the denial bucket because they had no liquidity. And in that moment, we were able to say, hang on a second. If this is the problem that we have, there is a solution to this problem, right? And we were able to take them from what would have just been the denial bucket and put them into the approval bucket. And now I'm sitting on $125,000. Where's my next deal bucket?
Right. Yeah, and I know the client you're talking about. Perfect example of how timing matters, right? Like you guys sent him over. I know he was under contract already. I think already, technically had a closing date with them. He needed to get pre-approved with you guys, but needed that liquidity. We were able to put him in place for the line of credit, but more importantly, we were able to move quickly on getting him the credit cards. So he was able to come back and say, hey, listen, I have the access to at least $50,000 in the credit cards. I have my down payment. You guys were then able to kind of give him the pre-approval and kind of kick him off to get into closing. So yeah, that was a nice one where it was, he needed to move quick. He needed a certain dollar amount. We were able to get him the dollar amount and move him to closing pretty quick.
Mm-hmm. I think listening to that and hopefully we're going to have more examples of it, but it's just that, to me, it's this really important piece of, there's a lot of ambitious people out there and there's a lot of people who understand what it is we're doing and how to do it. But it's not just Alpha that's closing a door and saying, hey, you have no money, what am I supposed to do? I can't give you all of the money, right? And it's giving them, not just with Alpha, but with everybody else, or with contractors, with their vendors, saying like, I'm not broke, I have money. I'm ready to get out there and do things. And this is a game changer. You were just saying it before, like you were on this webinar, and what are they saying? People need money. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter if you have deals if you can't get them done. Exactly. No part of that matters. You can have all the best deals in the world. You can't close them. What are you going to do?
Mm-hmm. You need cash. You need something. And that's kind of where we come into play. And this relationship's been great because on the same front, like we talk to so many newbie investors that we're going to get the money and they're like, how do I fund the rest of the deal? It goes back to you guys too for the hard money aspect. So when we're preaching this funding toolbox type of concept, it's a nice to be able to refer them to the other tools to be able to really 100% fund the deal.
It's not only that though, right? I think for you guys in trying to give this complete picture, right? It's not just, hey, come to me, I'm going to give you money. Right. It's come to our MBAlpha, and we're not just giving you money, we're giving you access. Mm-hmm. And I think I want to stop on that word for a second, right? Because I don't think people understand how important access is, right? Money gets you into deals, all that kind of stuff is great, but you're saying, hey, I can get you money, but now I'm going to get you access to loans. I'm going to get you in front of people that matter because now you have all of the tools to be in real estate. And I think that by itself, it's the whole picture, right? It's like, okay, because before you can just say, yeah, I'm going to get you funding. I can get you $100,000. I can get you $75,000. I can get you, $150,000. But now you're saying, I'm not just going to get you $100,000. I'm going to get you in the door.
Right.
Fully in the door.
Right. Because we talk to people all across the country, and depending on the market, right? Like they're like, oh, $100,000, I can't buy a property with that. Because they're thinking I got to use this money to fund the deal completely. Whereas they can take that $100,000 and combine it with you guys to truly 100% fund it. So it's a nice way to get people to start to look outside like, hey, no, I don't need to get just a $50,000 property. I can leverage these funds with Alpha to go do a nice bigger deal that's going to provide more profit.
Eric, tell me your favorite story that you've heard.
Favorite story that I've heard
from our MBAlpha, work. Tell me, what's your favorite funding so far?
Oh man,
which one stands out to you? You're like, man, I love this one.
I think it was the client. I have a client who came through the program, purchasing a property out in Pittsburgh, Burr project, stuck, wasn't going to be able to pull the trigger. Him and his wife, strong credit, strong income, just didn't have any liquidity, didn't have any access. And he met me and our team a week before closing and we actually were able to get him the access to fund the down payment. We got him over 70 grand in a week, and he funded $40,000 down payment, did the rehab, utilized you guys to fund the purchase and the rehab side, and it's about 90% of the way done, and they're going to flip it into the DSCR product. So to me, the fact that we were able to do that, he wouldn't have known. If he hadn't learned about the program, like Nick said, it's all about timing. To me, that was a fun one for me because I saw it come to fruition quickly.
You said that was a week before closing.
Week before closing, which is rare, but it was still a game changer for.
We're not miracle workers, but we can sometimes pull some stuff out.
Yeah.
So it even surprises me sometimes. But yeah, so that's not typical 7 days, but given the appropriate type of information, we can try and make something happen.
They were ready to go.
Yeah.
They were ready to take action is the biggest thing, right? You get those people that we don't want to call them tire kickers or sideline watchers or just people trying to get information. They were all about taking the action.
Mm-hmm.
So when they were like, yeah, we can get money, let's do it.
What I love about this whole concept, and again, we're going to just reiterate it because today is going to basically be all about MBAlpha.
Dealswithnomoney.com.
Yeah. www.dealswithnomoney.com. The fact that we are removing the barrier for investors when they think that I can't invest in real estate because of money, we're removing that. And not only are we, from Alpha side, being able to then complement our borrowers with these working lines of credit and this access, but even when you guys are dealing with people, when you're working with clients and investors, being able to understand that there's also leverage. You don't have to buy the property completely with all the money that you have. You can come to us and complement them, and you can actually open up all of these opportunities. That's what really, really excites me. What I want to hear a little bit more about with you guys is what makes MB, what, in your opinion, what do you think what makes MB Capital different from the others that are out there? So there's a lot of people that do what you guys do. There's a lot of people that also tell people how to do it. But what do you think separates you guys?
Well, before it, just to give you an extra prompt here, like the other thing that I hear from a lot of people is I can go do this, right? Why would I need to do it with you?
Yeah. So I'll answer both questions.
We know. Yeah.
I'll let Eric talk this time after I say this. So how we're different is, we are a done for you service, right? Like there's a lot of people out there, especially these Instagram gurus, that you sign up for their course, they're just going to give you a list of 100 banks and you got to go figure it out. Where we're different is we're going to look at credit. We're going to spend the time to understand what you're out there doing. What opportunity do you have? Why are you on the phone with me, right? Like there's something there's a reason why. We have something in hand that we need to take advantage of. But not only that, what are we looking to do 3, 6, 9, 12 months down the line? So let's get you money now. Let's keep credit in the right position. Yes, anybody can go out there and apply for a line of credit and apply for a credit card. But where do you start, right? Most people will just go to whoever they bank with. And that might not always be the best option. So, in working with us, we have the data and the trends of all the lenders all across the country.
I've heard a lot of people say that. They're like, I bank with JP Morgan Chase.
And I'll go to Chase and I'll try to get a line of credit, and they declined me, and I have no reason why.
So for all the people that are listening that may be thinking that I'm going to go to my Bank of America and I'm going to see if they can get to me a working line of credit, why would that not be, compared to working with you guys, why should they go to you guys instead?
Every bank has different qualifications, different criteria, right? So you may have a great credit score, but you don't have the age in business. Or you may have the age in business, but credit doesn't look right. So we're able to kind of get ahead of all of that, right? So if we're able to look at credit, you can't go to Bank of America because you have certain amount of inquiries in the last 6 months. So why go to Bank of America if they're going to decline you, add another inquiry, hurt credit, and not actually give you money?
And they may not even know that going in.
Most people don't. Most people don't.
They've never done it before. How could they know?
Yeah.
I mean, the other side is the industry, right? Real estate investors, that's a high risk industry to banks. So there's only certain banks that you're going to be able to leverage to get proper access, the access that you want to be able to go out there and do multiple deals, build that portfolio, scale the business. So you need to know that. You need to know who those banks are, and the bank you're banking with is more than likely not a bank that's going to be a good fit for you as an investor.
And the biggest thing before you ask the next question, it's one thing to get you money. Anybody can go out there and get money, sure. How do you actually use a credit card to go purchase a piece of real estate? How do you actually liquidate a line of credit as down payment money to combine with alpha? Right? Like you can go get money, but how do you use it? How do you leverage it? How do you go do what you want to do with the money? Because a lot of times we may need to get creative. How do we use a credit card to go to closing? Like you can go get a credit card, but do you know how to do the more important step, which is actually use it to go do a deal? That's the bigger value in my opinion.
Go to dealswithnomoney.com and you'll learn how.
Exactly.
Ooh,
22-minute video, 11 minutes of it's great.
But here's my question, right, about people who are saying they can do it on their own.
Delayed reaction.
I'm trying to gloss over it.
Don't cut that, Joe.
I'm gonna have to live my life here. If somebody goes and tries it on their own, and let's say they go to their Bank of America, that's where they bank, and they get denied, is it harder for them to try again?
With that same bank?
Yes.
They may have to wait 6 months. So that's where some of that strategic strategy comes into play.
So let's keep that into focus, right? Sure, you could do it, but why would you do it and then risk your ability to actually get the money?
Right.
And then have to sit on the sidelines even longer to realize I should have just went with MBAlpha to begin with.
I always say, if you're an expert in finding deals, go find deals and surround yourself with all the other experts that can help you fund the deal, that can help you long-term leverage properly, right? Because there's a big misconception. People hear the word credit and they think debt. What we're talking about here is how can you leverage your credit to go build your portfolio, to go do 5 flips instead of 2 in a year through the MBAlpha program and make it happen and go to the next level without having to be the expert in every field. Surround yourselves.
This is really interesting. I want to play off something you said a second ago, Nick. You were talking about, this kind of all comes together. Like you're talking about the tire kickers. And I know we don't want to call people that, but some of them exist in the world. But
we all know them. They've been at all the RIAs for the last 10 years. Have never done a deal. Have shitty credit.
But I want to talk about that.
But just like to hang out.
But I want to talk about that for a second, though, because I sit here and I go, I've been to all the RIAs too, and I've met all these people. And I want to tell you the age-old story that I've heard as being a representative from Alpha. I really like you guys. I can't wait to do my first deal. I'm going to try to wholesale some properties to make some money so that I can have some money to do a deal with you because I like you.
Yeah.
And what we're saying is, time out. Let's just skip that. Let's just go from, if you want to go find a deal, like you were just saying, Eric, let's skip the part where you have to go
wholesale,
figure out how to go make some money,
Yep.
get the money, and just do the deal.
Wholesaling is the hardest part. In my opinion, wholesaling is the hardest type of investing in real estate. Hardest way.
Why?
You need to know every single part of the process like the back of your hand, because you're going to wholesale to an investor who probably does know every single step of the way. So your numbers better be on point. You better know how to estimate a rehab. You better know how to work with contractors, have fun with that. You better know how to deal with the motivated seller. You got to learn, you got to know every aspect. Whereas, and you're getting paid the least, right? You're going to get paid $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 wholesale fee where you could have captured a $30,000 or $50,000 profit on a flip by just taking on the flip on your own.
Yeah, but what I think where you were going with that, I love talking to the wholesaler, right? Especially a wholesaler with good credit that's like, yeah, I don't know how to save up enough money to go do a deal. Well, let's go get you money. Let's leverage that credit to get you funds in the business name and start cherry picking those good ones. Stop wholesaling it and making $5,000 or $10,000 on it. Actually have the capital to go do the flip yourself and go make 50 or 75.
What this is really, it's a tool to get off the bench and get in the game.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm stealing sports metaphors from Matt.
Put me in, coach.
How many more can we come up with before we're done this episode?
There's going to be some awkward silences as we attempt to try to come up with more.
Sports puns.
Yes. But I'm surprised Matt doesn't have more sports puns.
Like ready to go.
Put me in, coach. Get off the bench.
You already said, I said
Who's
get off
on
the
first?
bench. You said put me in, coach. What else you got?
Well, I want to talk more about how...
I want to talk more about how I don't have any puns.
Well, we can talk about sports puns, but I think being able to... Wholesaling, like you said, it's a tough business to be in. And if you could get into real estate and not have to go through the pain and suffering of being a wholesaler, because it's not a very... I mean, it can be profitable for some, but for most, they always are looking, how can I then get into... buying, fixing, flipping, buying rentals. They always want to get to that next step. And now we're showing them a way to be able to jump and clear that hurdle so quickly and so easily. And same thing with the money. The fact that we can remove that barrier where now you don't need to build up that nest egg to invest. I just think this whole program has been outstanding. The fact that we've had over 300 signups so far, I'm really, really enjoying this.
Yeah, I think one of the big things for me is, staying on the same topic, is I wish this existed for us when I started at Alpha, because the conversations would be just very different with a lot of people to be like, you need, how many times you sit at a table with a bunch of investors like, I need money. Right. And just be like, all right, let's take money out of the equation. Now what happens? I think the hardest part, this is the one thing that the gurus will tell you that is actually true. I'm not everything is there, but there's one thing that is actually true. It is, if you don't try to do it, you'll never do it. We're going back to the 100%. Tire kickers. So what happens? You get those same people who 5 years ago, 7 years ago are like, I can't do a flip. I don't have any money. I don't have Uncle Bob or Aunt Jane to lend me $50,000 to go do something, or I do have them and they have the money and they really don't want to give it to me. But it's that moment, because we're giving real estate investors saying, hey, you want to do this? You can do something today that will actively help you in moving forward in the journey. Yeah. Whereas most people would be sitting there saying, I want to try this. I want to get into real estate. I want to buy a rental. I want to buy a house and fix it and flip it. Or even if they wanted to use that money on a conventional loan to do what Matt said in another episode about house hacking. Yeah. And instead they're just sitting there going like, I'm working a 9-to-5 W-2 and I won't have enough money saved up for 7 years. Right? Like
false.
This what?
False. That is false. You don't have to wait the 7 years. I'm only saying that because this past week,
I was like, what did I do?
Past week, MBAlpha client, right? Her and her brother, they want to do deals, and they're like, yeah, the idea is maybe in the next year we're in a position to. And she didn't have the best credit, but he did. And I said, well, what about an LLC? Do we have an LLC set up? They had a 3-year-old LLC that's just sitting there. He's got 800 plus credit. We're going to go get this guy 150 grand. So it changes the mindset. They go from, okay, this time next year, hopefully we're in a position to go find a deal, to, holy shit, let's go find a deal. Like, we can go put in an offer now because I know we can get the money, and I know the guys over at Alpha are already going to pre-approve us once we have the money with MB. So it's like, get out there and start looking for deals now, because I'm going to go get you the money. Like, credit's good. That's not going to be the issue. You need to go find a deal. More times than not, that's the hardest thing for clients. It's like, we tell them, all right, listen, there's no barrier anymore. We can get you the money. Alpha's going to approve you. The hard part is actually taking the action like we're talking about. Go find the deal, put in the offers, because once you get it under contract, we're going to take care of the rest.
I want to know, Eric, if you could talk about this. I want you to kind of pound your chest a little bit and give us why is MB Capital the superior option in this type of a scenario where you're working with Alpha. We send people to work with you guys. Your pedigree, right? You guys have been doing this for a very long time versus just trying to do this on your own. Why should they be using MB Capital? Like, I go back to it all the time with relationships, right? It's relationships. To me, it's the fact that we're gonna help you get the money, but then we're gonna teach you how to use it. We're gonna be there when you don't really know how to maneuver through a scenario. We're there. You schedule time with one of our advisors. We'll talk you through 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever you need to walk you through, get you through a good scenario or a bad scenario. Good scenario is, I got 3 deals on the table and I need to take action on all of them, because we know how that normally goes. If your goal is to do 4 a year, you're getting 3 all at the same time. So you got to be able to jump into it. So they have us in their corner to be that expert, that strategist to walk them through. And to me, service is key. That's how many years has MB been operating?
We've been around for 15 years now.
15 years of doing
I've been
this.
using the line of credit model for my real estate investing for 16 years.
That's the key.
And
That's what
That's the key. I'm sorry.
that's
no,
the key.
but that's the key, right? Like,
Chime in.
You're a real estate investor. I'm a real estate investor. 95% of our clients are real estate investors. So we hear it all the time, right? Like we'll be talking to a client and they're like, I'm so glad I don't have to explain what a fix and flip is to you. Or what is a burr? Like I'll have clients that'll start talking about a burr. I'm like, you're talking about a burr. And they're like, oh my God, you know what a burr is? And it's like, yeah, no shit, I know what a burr is. And that's what we do all day long. So like the biggest thing is, yeah, we're out there, we're helping real estate investors, right? Like it's not just we know about money and, oh, here's a product. It's no, here's how we're going to acquire it. More importantly, here's how you're going to go put it to use. Like that's the biggest thing. Mm-hmm. Showing investors how to invest with the money.
And this is all you guys do. You guys. You just
people try and pull us in all different avenues, right? Oh, you know money, you know credit. I'm sticking in our wheelhouse.
Right? We talk about
lane.
keeping the main thing the main thing.
It works, right? I mean, it's working. You're around 16 years. How many small businesses, have been around 16 years?
Not
many.
Not a lot.
Total amount funded. So in capital that you've been able to acquire for clients, I want some shock value stuff.
Man, I wish we were talking 2 weeks from now because we are just about to surpass the 150 million mark.
150 million.
Yeah, we're at 149.8. So if you go to I just went to the website. Yeah, we're over 150 million, which is unbelievable when you think about that number.
It's a lot of people we serve.
Since you've had it, you've now given funding of $150 million to investors.
Yeah, and the really impressive part is that's permanent funding, right? Like that's not loans where it gets paid back and you loan
that's
the same
their money.
That's their money. So $150 million worth of permanent funding they can get out there and put into deals. It's a lot of investors out there with capital behind them right now.
And you need to be next. That's the whole point of this.
Deals with no money done.
So I asked Eric, let me ask you now, Nick, what is your favorite story from MBAlpha?
Ooh, good question.
Everybody's got their favorite.
Probably the one that I just talked about, right? The brother sister that they have these big dreams. And I think I caught them a little off guard, being like, "Well, yeah, that's not a waiting game." So I like that. But then the client, I don't know if it was the client in Colorado or another client, same situation. You guys did pre-approve him. He was trying to get the closing, but he still needed that little bit of money, where we were able to get him over the finish line, make sure he got the closing. But the more important part was he could pay his contractor to kick off that rehab. So like those are the little stories, and there's dozens of those this point.
You know what? I'm going to chime in because you gave me some time to think about it now,
All right.
and I do much better when I get to think about it. So what my favorite story is the credibility that the MBAlpha program brought to this one client that allowed me to help him, right? So he actually worked with my mentor and his company 5 years back. And he was like, and it looked like they did a great job, right? He needed a personal credit build up his personal credit very strong. He was sitting really pretty when I saw his credit this time around, but he's like, I thought it was a scam the way that they were not MB, not Alpha, but my mentor, because they were, it was all credit based and you hear all these negative things. And because he came through MBAlpha, he's like, that's like, I know Alpha, I've done some stuff with them and the credibility there. And then when he talked to me and I was able to talk in his language, real estate investor language, and I pulled it right. I mean, as soon as I heard that who he had worked with, I saw it. I saw that he had worked with another company, and within 3 weeks, he's up to over 65,000 of 0% money on the business side, and now he's in a great position to just take some action. So I love it because that credibility, that's the difference maker. There are people that think that credit is scary. There's a lot of fraud in this, that, the other. When you have the credibility so you can listen to us as strategists, deliver the game plan to you, that's the difference maker. When you can actually listen, you don't have it in the back of your head that, man, they're scamming me. No, get that out of your head, and it's a lot easier to listen and see what the next steps are, and we're going to hold your hand to make it happen.
Also, all the other hard money lenders being like, shit, why didn't we think of that?
I've heard that from
I was here first.
Yeah. I've heard that from residential lenders that they're upset now that we've started this program. I've heard it from hard money lenders, but too bad.
But I think I want to tie these different pieces in, because I always think it's important. Just kind of, again, we're trying to build the whole picture, right? And you're talking about credibility, and you're talking about these pieces, and I think part of it is saying like I think part of the fear is like, wait a second, so I'm gonna get money on credit, and it's expensive, or it could be expensive. Not that it is expensive, it could be, right? But like people don't think about. I'm gonna put some thoughts out into the world. One, you're going to wait 7 years on your W-2 to save enough money to do a deal. That money has a cost to it, right? And you don't think about it that way. And, I once said to somebody, I tried to explain this to them, and they were just like, what? I was like, you put 7 years in your life to get $50,000. Let's do the cost benefit analysis of saving that $50,000 on your W-2 over 7 years. The cost is insurmountable, right? Or people are like, I'm just going to go raise private money. I was like, well, you're in the same boat, right? But now you have somebody else you have to answer to, right? You have other masters. Like, even if you go to your Uncle Bob and your Aunt Jane, right? In 6 months, Aunt Jane's going to want to know, so how's the project?
Yeah.
Are we doing all right?
Or maybe they don't want to. Maybe they don't want to lend on that project. Maybe they can't.
Or if there's termites in the walls, you got to tell Uncle Bob. Well, Uncle Bob is going to take me another 2 months. There's termites in the wall, and I got to deal with that. Now Uncle Bob's like, termites. Like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, is my nephew ever going to pay me back? And what the idea here is the credibility, saying like, hey, it's not scary. All these other scenarios are just as scary when you think about them. I'm going to take my life savings and put it into a deal. I'm going to borrow my family's money and I'm going to put it into a deal. How about I only have to answer to myself? So if I succeed, it's because I knew what I was doing and I got to the finish. If I fail, it's all on me, right? And that is the freedom that we're getting here, right? That's part of the credibility, saying, hey, you should do this. Like, they know Alpha, they know we're not messing around because we've done deals for a long time. It's that moment of confluence of saying, you got to be your own master. You got to be in charge of yourself. You got to be in charge of what you're doing, and you're going to either succeed on your own or fail on your own. But the only person you have to explain it to in the end is yourself in the mirror, when either the deal is amazing and you're cashing some checks, or you just lost a bunch of money.
I love what you just said about freedom. And I think that's also some of the power in what we're doing here, is that you can control. We always talk about trying to figure out, you got to control what you can control and don't worry about the uncontrollables. The fact that you can take back control, you don't have to deal with other people. Now, a lot of people will use private money. A lot of people will work with other lenders, but this is just like you talk about with your funding toolbox. This is probably one of the best tools that I could think of. And now we're putting this out there, and that's why, it's been so successful so quickly.
Well, I'm also not trying to say never use all the tools. Like, you have a toolbox for a reason, and all the tools go in it. But I'll make a case for even where using all the tools are going to make sense. Ready? I'm going to bring it all together. You go to MBAlpha, you get money, but you're doing a bigger project. So you need to raise private money, right? And you need to leverage a hard money lender. So you have to get all the spots. Do you think you're going to have a better scenario raising private money when you tell them, hey, I got 50 grand of my own money in, and I need another 100 grand from you, instead of going, I need $150,000 and I have zero of my own money in this deal. So if it goes belly up, I'm just going to wipe you out.
I can't rub two nickels together.
Right. It's, so it's like, it's not an either or. It's not just like, hey, don't use any of the other things. You don't use, it's
almost like order of operations.
Yeah. If you can do it without other people, because now you have enough money, that's great. But if you have to go raise more money, everybody's always going to feel more comfortable when you're like, I have my own money in a deal.
Right.
Because they're like, well, you don't want to lose any of your money. So hopefully you're not going to want to lose any of my money.
It's giving you flexibility. Biggest thing. Freedom. I like to use the word flexibility. Easiest way. You're going to use all the other tools. You should, right? If you're a successful investor, you're going to need them.
Right.
Let's have the flexibility, because I don't want Uncle Bob to go put his money in Bitcoin, because it's all the talk, and now the money's not there to lend to you.
Right. And it's that stepping stone. It's the adding comfort. Like, I know it's crazy to think about that, but what you're doing is, yes, either you're doing a deal for yourself and you have the full freedom to live and die by your own needs, but it's the flexibility of saying like, hey, I'm credible because I'm going to do this deal and I believe in it so much that my own money's in it and I'm on the line.
I've never lost a deal due to lack of access. Never lost a deal for funding. Always figure out a way.
That's amazing right there. You never lost the deal for lack of
Never
access.
lost. And I never will, because I'm always in a position where I can take advantage of opportunities, because I position myself today when I don't need it, so that when the opportunities come, I can jump in.
Mm-hmm. And we've had some deals that we've just recently this month and this past month that we're able to fund the project because we were able to get investors these extra dollars that they needed. One was somebody who was just doing a lot of projects and just their capital was tied up and they wanted to continue. And we were able to fund a new construction project, which was, purchasing a lot, and then we're going to be providing the construction loan. Another one that was doing a very large project and needed a lot of dollars to get into the project, and you guys are helping them get those dollars for that down payment money outside of Alpha. And, like I said, you've never lost a deal because of access, and we've been able to lend more money and help investors because of this.
Well, not only that, I'll just another side note, just from people seeing the program, people that are connected to Alpha, maybe as referral partners or other types of businesses, are reaching out to us saying, hey, I'm not a real estate investor, but I have XYZ business and I need working capital. And we're helping, you name the type of business, we're going to be able to help them get money. So even though you may be listening to this and you're like, I'm not a real estate investor, but I have XYZ and I need money, doesn't mean that we can't help.
Money's money.
Money is money.
Yeah,
it's all green.
Yeah, we've got family.
Spends the same.
I know some family and friends, family members, friends that actually have been using this not for real estate. They own businesses and they need some additional working capital. It could be from a debt consolidation standpoint. So the opportunities are endless. So if you're somebody who's interested, again, go to www.dealswithnomoney.com and you can click on the Get Started button and you can work with Eric, Nick, and Eric.
You'll be working with MB in some form.
So I have a question. So we've been talking a lot so far about people starting who have no money, right? That's what we've been talking about. How to sign up, how to do it, how it's fast, all this stuff, which is amazing. Tell me what happens. I'm in now. I've gone through the program. You gave me my first round of funding. What happens next? Because I think we've focused a lot on, hey, do you need $50,000 to $100,000 tomorrow for your deal? Great. But what happens after? You said it before. You said this is your money, that's amazing. But what's next? Is that it? Is now they've gotten funded, they've done everything with you, they have this money, they're never going to talk to Nick and Eric ever again. Is that what happens?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I always use my example, first person, right? I started with $200,000 of access between me and my wife through 0% business credit cards. We now have over $1 million of access in lines of credit and business credit card funding with minimal to no financials needed that I've used over and over again. So the key is, get your foot in the door, get started. But when 6 months down the line, if there are questions, get with us. We're going to check in every 90 days because we want to see how it's going, how you're using it. More importantly, if you're doing more deals and you need more access, every 6 to 12 months, you can go back and get another 50, 75, 100,000 of access. If you had a newer business and now your business is at the 2-year or 3-year mark, there may be additional options open. Been building credit for me under the business for 16 years. There are still options out there for me.
So this isn't just a set it and forget it. We get in, we get done, everybody's happy. This is an ongoing process.
Well, ongoing. It goes back to the client, right? Some clients, they tell me, hey, listen, I just want to do one flip a year. If we get them 100, 150 grand, they're good. Some clients are just like, I want to do as many deals as possible. So if you can give me 150 grand, great. How can we get more? And that's where some of the strategy work comes into play. Learning that on that open call, what are we doing now? What opportunities do we have now? But what are some of the visions 6, 9, 12 months from now? It allows us to kind of prep that so that if we need to go back in the future for funding, we can kind of lay the groundwork early on.
Well, I think it's important what you said, because I think what we want to make sure that people are understanding is when they're going into the beginning of this is keep an open mind, right? That person who said, I just want to do one flip a year. Sure, maybe that's true. It's probably not. Right. It's addicting. Right. Doing the deals are addicting. If
they do that first one, they're ready.
But it's about saying to yourself, hey, I'm going into this. This isn't just I'm going to say this, it's going to sound terrible. It's not a cash grab. It's not because this goes back to the credibility part where people are like, it's just a cash grab. You're gonna hand me $75,000. No, this is, and I think you got to go into it with like, hey, what's my bigger picture? I need money today, but I need to figure out how to do it later. And you guys are saying, we're not abandoning you. No, we're in this as long as you're in it, right? That's what I just heard. So it's like, hey, maybe I wanted $150,000 today. Maybe I only got 85, but in 6 months, because you guys are following up, there's a pathway, and you guys we're gonna set up a path to get to the dollars I need, and probably more money than I ever thought I needed. More money than I ever thought was possible, right? Like, if you're doing all the things, if you're getting the money, you're doing the deals, you're paying them off, like, could you say that the amount you can get over your lifetime is an endless amount? Like, does it actually stop somewhere where it's just like, we've now tapped every possible solution for money?
It hasn't happened yet.
No.
We'll say that. Hasn't happened yet.
So in 16 years, hasn't happened yet.
Hasn't happened. Still options.
What I love is the fact that you're probably your best client testimonial is just the fact that you practice what you preach, and $1 million of access. Imagine that, Mike. $1 million of access for deals.
I mean, I can try to imagine.
And then you come to Alpha, and Alpha you can probably get somewhere between 80, 90, potentially 90+% of a project cost.
Of your $1 million of access, how much at 0%?
300 to 500 most of the time. I've never paid over 6.5% on business credit cards.
We're out.
Have the credit card companies ever came out and tried to like whack you?
No, when you actually use them.
No, like where they know that there's this guy.
No, but I'm going to be
in Philadelphia.
When he's saying whack, he's not like saying credit limit. He's like,
we have everybody. We need to take Mauz out.
Putting a hit out on Eric Mauz because
they know the data, right? They know 87% of people do not know how to leverage the way that we teach people how to do it, which is the right way. They know that 13% of people are doing it right. They'll take the other 87% who will eventually pay them a boatload of interest. When you're working with us, that you're getting us in your corner, and you're going to be part of the 13% to leverage property today, tomorrow, 5 years from now. I have clients 10 years old calling me, and they're 10 years old. That sounded funny. Sorry. It's a 10-year-old client. A client that's been around for 10 years.
Start them young. Start raising that money.
You should start getting your son. You got to get your son started on this soon. Authorized user.
Yep. He's been added to a card. And I was just thinking that when you guys were saying, does it ever end? I'm like, well, my son's almost 18.
Start leveraging him soon.
Yeah.
But it's not a cash grab. Right, like because we're using this money to put into a deal. We're not going shopping with it. We're not buying the cars, no Lamborghinis, all that stuff like we talked about last podcast. This is working capital.
But it's amazing though. You just said at any given point you could have $300,000 to $500,000 at 0%. To investors who are watching, plug into your calculations. I know everybody's got a calculator, their deal calculator. The ROI on your down payment money, or a significant portion of your total deal, right, at 0%. And you can't tell me that your cash on cash does not go up. You can't say. It's impossible. Right.
This is a marathon. That's most people treat it like a sprint. They want to come out, they want to get 50, 100, and go, go, go. I want to get them 50 to 100 today, 6 months from now, another 50 to 75, and just continue to build upon it, because that's when you can really build up those more and more 0% money over the long run. There are some really good lenders that I leverage 2-3 business credit cards through a servicing company, and they just keep sending me more. They keep increasing my limits. They're not whacking me, right? I've got a $44,000 limit, $35K limits, and they just keep sending me 0% money.
The credit card mafia, Mike.
I just want to go back to the whack. The whack is the Philadelphia version of the whack. Like I'm gonna come throw you in the river. I just want to make that not the like.
Yeah, I knew where you were
taking
going.
away your credit cards. Like I feel like you missed that. We're saying have any of them put a hit out on you?
Yeah, like come to your house late at night, dark jackets. Where's Eric Mauz?
Not that I'm aware of, but let's not put that out.
Maybe,
Joe, maybe cut that. Yeah.
I'm a big believer.
Joe, leave that in.
Secret. Don't put that out.
What I love...
Go to Eric's house.
Yeah. The accountability part, I think, is also very, very important, is that once you get started, like for me, I can speak from my own personal account. I call you all the time. I started with you guys about 4 or 5 years ago, and
Before
along the
COVID.
way, prior to COVID, I've had to call you because I'm far from perfect, and not handling these cards correctly can get you into a lot of trouble. And I've been able to call you, be able to say, hey, I have this situation. Is there a solution for it? Obviously, there's always a solution. You guys are great. And I think what you were saying about the credit card companies, knowing that people eventually, you're going to run into the higher interest rate or you're going to miss payments. And that's where I think this is so important. And it goes back to just Alpha in general, too. People come to us not just because of the funding, but they also come back to us because of the accountability. It's important to have good resources around you. And I can't speak more or highly about MB, our team at Alpha, some of the people in our network. It's important to make sure you surround yourself with really, really good people. And obviously that's going to help protect you along the way.
Might have to find a new camera guy. He's dropping shit over here.
Yeah, cameraman Joe.
Pick up the phone. That's what I always say. The client, pick up the phone. You're running into a scenario. We've all been there. I've misleveraged the cards over the years because I'm in it, right? So I think I stand on water as it relates to this. But no, there's times where I've over leveraged too long in a property rather than pulling in a private lender to pay it back. But you live and learn, and those are the things that we're talking to every day with our investors
So you're
and our
teaching them
clients.
that. You're teaching them
Yeah, we're
how to
teaching it.
not
We're
get stuck.
right, teaching them how to get out of a jam in the most strategic way.
What happens when most people run into a problem? They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to broadcast
They
it.
go into a
So
shell.
They go into their shell. They clam up and they get really, really quiet. And that is the worst thing you can do. And that's why it's awesome to have you guys there. So when something does happen, that's another.
Just call us.
Just call.
If we can't figure it out, we'll try and figure it out. But yeah, definitely don't wait until it's too late. Or at a client once, she's like, yeah, I didn't know what to do. I just closed all the lines of credit and credit cards because I didn't want to invest anymore, but now I want to invest anymore. So now I need more money. And it's like, well, you just closed all that access out. And Eric's laughing because he knows what I'm talking about.
Right, and we went and got her more
And then
money.
we went and got her the same money essentially, and she could have double, but you live and you learn.
Yeah, but it's like going to the doctor. If you don't go consistently, how are you going to ever find out if there's a problem? Or
Exactly.
how are they going to be able to help you if you don't put yourself out there?
If you don't tell us, we don't know.
Exactly.
So it's funny because we named, it's MBAlpha is the name of what our partnership at our website is dealswithnomoney.com. And there's a reason why we called it that, right? Because it's not no money, right? You are using money, but it's money you didn't have yesterday. It's your money, right? It's funny, but it's kind of no money. You're
it's the
doing a
fact.
deal.
You're using your own cash.
You don't have to use your hard-earned money. Whether you have a lemonade stand from when you were 10 years old, or you've been working for 15, 20 years and you've been saving up all of your hard-earned money, you don't need to use your own hard-earned money.
That's right.
You
Don't
can
cash
use
those bar
other-
mitzvah bonds in.
That's right.
Not yet. You got to wait on those bar mitzvah bonds.
Use
Couple more
other
years.
people's money,
Not right
but
now.
there's other ways to create. There's better versions of other people's money, and this is obviously, you can imagine, one of the best ways to use other people's money. You take back the control. You're using these credit card companies' money. They're giving you the debt at a super low interest rate. You have bank lines of credit that are out there that are very favorable. You have control over them.
And just think, like, the market changes every day, right? Like, if you don't act now, it could be harder to get money in the future, right? Like, everything changes, right? So if you have the opportunity to go get it now, go get it.
Yeah, speaking of everything changes, my HELOC interest rate was at prime +1. Prime was 3.25 2 years ago, right? It's now 8.5. So 9.5% money on a HELOC. I had almost $100K sitting there, and you know what I did? Because I had 0% money, is I actually leveraged the 0% money to pay down the HELOC, and rather than pay the 10% interest, I'm now paying 0% on business money for 12 to 18 months rather than paying the 10%. So I had
the HELOC.
And the HELOC's sitting there ready to go. So I jump into, if an opportunity comes, I'm ready to pull the trigger. But it's that flexibility piece. I had the flexibility and the wherewithal to make that maneuver now. Why keep paying First Colonial 10%?
I don't want to pay anybody 10%. I don't want to pay myself 10%. But, kind of just how it goes. But So, I mean, what do you got?
No, I was just I wanted to wrap up here.
I wanted to just go around. Like, what do you want? So, like, as we wrap up now, we're into MBAlpha.
Yep.
Right? It's a thing. We're
It is
doing
a
it.
thing.
We're sharing with you the success that has come from it. People are doing deals. People are getting money. What do you guys want to tell the investors out there about, like, what do they need to do right now? Like, tell them.
Yeah, what are some
let's
tips?
Go around. Like,
I think that would be a good one.
As we sign off, like,
I'm
what
going to
is
make
the
it
thing?
super easy, and this is not a plug. Go to dealswithnomoney.com, right? Sign up, do the soft pull. You know, if you're unsure of what credit looks like or, you know, what options you may have, let us tell you, right? Like, we take the guesswork out of everything. So go to dealswithnomoney.com, fill out the form, do the soft pull, get scheduled with us. Let us tell you exactly what you qualify for now, or if credit needs to be positioned or tweaked or manipulated in some form or fashion, let's give you that game plan so that we can get you into a position for funding as fast as possible.
What do you got, Eric?
I just want to say thank you, because I used to be a one-man show. It was me and an assistant, and because of Matt and how hard he's tried to build this relationship and partnership, and Nick and Mike, we are sitting here. There's over 18 people on the team now. We're helping 300 plus clients in 2 months. I wouldn't have been able to do that on my own. So to me, gratitude. Thank you for bringing this to fruition, because we're going to help thousands of investors.
I like it. I'm going to let Matt sign off. I'm going to just say one thing to everybody out there. Dealswithnomoney.com.
Yeah.
I think we hit the quota.
Everybody say it at the same time.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Dealswithnomoney.com.
Dealswithnomoney.com. Everyone, have a wonderful day. Eric, Nick, thank you for coming
both.
by.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful day.
Looking
Be
forward
great.
to the third appearance.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Mike and Matt Show. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Please subscribe, follow, like, and comment on whatever podcast platform you listen to all of your favorite podcasts. If you have a guest that you would like to see on the show or have a topic that you would like to hear covered, please email us at podcast@alphafunding.com. Again, I'm your host, Matt Weber, and my partner, Michael Strasser. Be the best version of yourself and take action. Life is meant to be explored. Be great, friends.
Hear the cry.